sharing your D&D creations for fun. My name is Eric Menke. I am a freelancer for Wizards of the Coast. I did Menzo Baronzon, City of Intrigue, also the story architect for Moonshade Isles. I worked on the Moonshade Isles Regional Adventure Guide, and have done a lot of other projects to organize play over the years, starting from Living City through Living Greyhawk, into the Forgotten Realms, and now the Adventurers League. I do occasionally do projects that get posted on the VMs Guild where they've done really reasonably well. I need to get back on it. I've been really busy with the Moonshades lately, and I've seen a lot of that. I am just your moderator for this panel. We are joined by an esteemed group to my right. The first person is Lisa Chen. Lisa, introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Lisa Chen. I am the community manager for the D&D Adventurers League, as well as the Dungeon Masters Guild. I am also a freelance writer for D&D 5th edition. Probably my most recent credit would be I helped write Dungeons of the Mad Mage, which was just released. I've written a bunch of adventures for the Adventurers League and for the Dungeon Masters Guild. I'm also a D&D streamer. I'm going to do a plug while I have the mic. Starting January 11th on the D&D Twitch. Next Friday will be a Ravenloft series, if you like horror. Tales from the Mists. I will be playing in as one of the cast members. You know.
Our next panelist, on the far side of Lisa, is Kayla Klein.
Hi, I'm Kayla Klein. I'm online as KAYNCLI, which is like a mashup of my name. I don't know if you're. I do a lot of art. I did the art for Wizards show Trap Bird Page. I do Bramblefoot Adventures, which is just content within the Sorry. I did a Strix comic with TK Johnson. I'm doing a Strix comic with and I do a clothing line with like content. So I do a lot of art in D&D, just various things, stuff and things, whatever I can do. I did the art for Tales from the Mists, and I'm also going to be playing in it, and it's very exciting. It's going to be great. Please watch.
And on the far end, we have Tim Stowell. Tim, tell us about yourself, please.
Hey, I'm Tim Stowell. I go by Stella_Tim on Twitter. I'm a former podcaster of the anime realm, so the one called Mouthful Post, and about to be on 2 Twitch streams, tabletop games. First, which is an encounter role play, Walk the Plank, a pirate adventure, and the next would be a Vampire Masquerade adventure, Vampire 5e called A Crusade of Thorns. So yeah, I come to the table with a podcast and stream experience. And I also will be doing improv tomorrow at 5 o'clock with the These Guys Are Sick game for MAGFest.
So, question for all of you, so we can know you a little bit better. Do any of you create D&D content in any shape, way, or form, whether it be for home play, or for yourself, or to share with others? All right. Now, have any of you tried to share it beyond your home table, like through any sort of means? Actually, I was thinking mostly for sale, but that is the first step, is to share it with friends and family. Okay. Now, we have a whole lot of questions. One of the things I want to ask our first premise is ways that you can share your D&D creations. So I guess you start with Lisa, since I'm looking right at you at the moment.
I am probably personally most experienced with publishing on Dungeon Masters Guild. So for those who aren't familiar with DMs, which I think is maybe on the screen right now. See,
yes,
I think it is. Alright, cool, yeah. Oh, now it's on the screen. Alright, which is a platform where you can publish D&D 5th edition content, and you can use Wizards IP, like their settings, maybe their heroic characters or villains, and even some monsters that aren't part of the open universes, like Holders and Muse, for example. I've published their adventures in the Adventurers League, also as part of the Build Up program, which is did authors on the platform. That's just a really great place for if you're creating stuff for your home game and you want to kind of clean it up a little bit to self-publish and share with people is a really good place to just start out and self-publish something and get out there. Aside from streaming, I guess it's on Twitch. Also do that. Also Twitch. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about Twitch or Rocky?
Twitch is cool.
What is Twitch?
Twitch is a streaming service where you can do all kinds of things. I'm sure everyone here knows what Twitch is.
Oh, I'm terribly ignorant, so.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Alright, so Twitch.tv is a place where you can stream, like Kayla said, a whole bunch of things, but a lot of people will stream like D&D games or their tabletop RPGs. And it can be people sitting on a panel like we are, and you maybe have like a fancy camera set up and show everybody, or you could stream like a Roll20 game and have like little webcams. It's not the only place that you can stream RPGs. You can also do that on YouTube these days. I think Twitch is probably the most popular platform for that, at least right now. And honestly, these days you can go like any night onto Twitch and search an RPG, like search Dungeons and Dragons, and it'll bring up in your search a whole bunch of different live streams that are happening at any given time. It's possible we can search right now. It's pretty cool.
Probably 5 minutes going on right now.
I think that might, however, be a different panel. Instead of the one we were focusing on, which is how to sell your stuff. But, all right, anything else? Any other ways you can try to share your D&D creations?
The main thing for me has been Twitter and social media, just putting yourself out there and sharing your content and your creations. Social media is the thing now. I feel like more than anything else, to make connections. And at least for an artist, I don't know if it's the same for a writer. For folks like oh yeah, I'm also on Patreon, which is great. Yeah, I feel like
I have no idea what Patreon is either. Can you explain that to me?
Patreon.
Okay, you have one.
Patreon is a website where you can create content to help support you, either with rewards or just as kind of a tip jar like that. So it's really great for creating D&D content consistently and people consistently supporting you.
Do they pay a certain amount per month, or is it per creation?
Depends, you can select.
Whoa, there's options.
Okay.
That's per month. It's a monthly support. Recently we changed it from rewards-based to just general support as we kind of branch out and do different things. We were on Bramblefoot doing like you could get a custom item or a custom NPC or things like that, but we've changed it, revamped it a little bit from the new year. But you can do things like that. So it's pretty cool.
How do you get people to your Patreon?
Twitter and shared visions on Twitch. So the previous things we talked about actually. So social media, Twitch, just kind of shouting from the rooftops, spreading our team around.
I feel like maybe it's different for people who are primarily streamers, whereas I feel like Kayla, speak up if this is incorrect assumption. I feel like we're primarily creators who really enjoy playing D&D, and being on a stream is a really good way to make sure everybody shows up every week to your game. We have a lot of fun playing D&D with our friends and sharing it with people, but then at the end we're able to promote our creations, and it kind of supports that. Or we build a following of people who enjoy watching us play and then want to see what other things we get involved in. So for me, streaming is just fun, but also supporting the other creating that I do and just getting myself out there.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think with social media, the most important thing is to be consistent with your output and to really have to be a hub of all your creations, and don't be afraid to plug yourself. I mean, people sometimes get self-conscious and go like, well, I don't want to talk about what I do all the time. It's like, tell everybody all the time, you're going to miss that tweet, you're going to miss that one, like 6 a.m. tweet where you share your next adventure. So just retweet it all the time. Tell people and be proud of your work, and you'll slowly get a following and people really enjoy your content.
I agree. Twitter is so ephemeral. Like tweets are gone in a second, especially if someone follows a bunch of people. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to tweet a bunch. If people who are following you, you're hoping are people who are genuinely interested in your content. If they unfollow you for seeing a tweet twice, then they're probably not someone who you wanted following you in the first place. They're not that invested.
Also, you're self-selecting your audience. Like, your audience is self-selecting themselves.
Absolutely.
All right. What other forms of social media do you use besides Twitter? I understand there's something called a Book of Faces. Or Instagrams.
I use Instagram. I don't use Facebook.
What's the advantage of Instagram over, say, Twitter? Or what's the differences and what's the value of it? Why do both when you just do Twitter?
I find that Instagram is better for curating via hashtags. I get a lot more traction that way than I do on Twitter. I don't really use hashtags on Twitter, but Instagram, just putting hashtag Dungeons and Dragons, people will be looking at that and finding you via that. Or illustration, you'll get a lot of people who discover you that way. So it's kind of easier to find people, I think, via Instagram that way, by what content you're putting out.
I was going to mention Tumblr, but things are kind of weird over there, so.
And the last form of, before we get to the main meat, there's another fundraising technique you can use, Kickstarter. Have you tried Kickstarter to fund any of your new creations? How did it go? What was your experience?
I've been in the trajectory of things like Kickstarter. So I know it's basically a month-long campaign for funding, and it takes a lot of work ahead of time to set up the campaign. But if you have a larger project that you just can't quite get the funding for, you can't quite get all the details sorted out, Kickstarter is great to kind of gauge interest and then dive right in and deliver the product. Especially if it's a physical product, if you want to sell your own book or something, Kickstarter is awesome for that.
This is where I can offer some expertise, because I have done two Kickstarters, both for my webcomic, The Snow by Night. So I haven't done on D&D stuff yet, but it seems to be align itself with the same product. Like Mike Shea, who's the Lazy Dungeon Master, which is his Kickstarter to great success. And what he does there is he releases one book and then sells it through Kickstarter and releases a significant amount of money for one particular project. It's good, as we said at Patreon. It's when you're making many little projects. And so that's more of a subscription, so Kickstarter is good if you have one thing that you want to put out. Speaking of putting things out there, digital marketplaces, I'd like to talk about those.
Digital marketplaces in general, or what about Dungeon Masters Guild specifically?
Well, let's start with the macro and go micro. But there are many digital marketplaces, correct? I can only think of two though.
There's so many.
Yes, all of the two I had were the Drive-Thru RPG and the DM's Guild. I think they're owned by the same people.
Yes, the lovely One Bookshelf family. But I'd say for Dungeons and Dragons in particular, and this panel is about sharing D&D creations, if you want to create your own homebrewed setting, your whole entire world, or maybe a campaign that's in a particular setting with some sort of really specific flavor, like there's only Fox people in this world. Drive-Thru RPG is the case where you use the open gaming license. That is, if you want to create really specialized content using the D&D 5th edition rules, that is the case for you. If you want to create content that you say is more setting neutral, it can be dropped into any location, or you're setting it in Faerun, in Ravenloft, in Eberron, in Ravnica most recently, Dungeon Masters Guild is the only place where you can legally do that.
That is an implicit bargain for the DM's Guild.
Yeah, that's sort of, that's the...
They allow you to use D&D IP. What IP can you use on the DM's Guild?
Basically, any of those settings that I just named, if there are characters that are entrenched in the D&D world, like Stuarden or Elminster, those characters you're also able to use. The trade-off there is that when you publish something on the Dungeon Masters Guild, say you created rules for how heists work, like specialized rule for how to do a heist. Another author can take what you wrote and use those rules in, say, an adventure that they did. We don't encourage people to just take and copy something that someone already wrote, but everything that you write goes into this like shared resource that all creators can use. The one exception to that being art. If you create art, that is separate. That doesn't, no one can just like use your art that you publish.
How you feeling?
Oh, that was quite a barrier to entry, if I remember correctly, when they first started the DM skill with the art. They didn't have that exception for art.
Yeah, and so art is different because you might commission it from someone else and they're not necessarily licensing it to any other creator on Dungeon Masters Guild. So we did have to make that exception.
Are there any resources for art that are available that you can use on the DM skill?
Why, yes, there are. So if we go into our tour, well, first of all, before I start the tour, is anyone here already familiar with Dungeon Masters Guild? Do you use it as a resource to show of hands? All right, cool, very cool. Let's see. So first of all, if you go to Dungeon Masters Guild, the people are probably most familiar with are these carousels of content on the front. We'll show you like the newest titles, the most popular titles, and then there's, I mentioned the Guild Deck program, there's Adventurers League. But there's a lot of stuff, and I don't know if you guys can see my mouse cursor.
Yes.
Awesome. So there's a lot of stuff in this left sidebar that people don't realize. And one of those really amazing ones is under product type, resources for DMG creators. And one of, I say, the resources that people who create a lot for the Dungeon Masters Guild really love are these art packs, which if for no other reason, they're just fun to download and read the names, because they'll be named something like Ball of Snakes, or WTF. It's just like a really crazy monster.
Sometimes download and go through some of the DM skill at all, just like home game.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, and you see this, ta-da!
Yeah, that's actually, I didn't even think of that. You can use them, especially if you do like online games, you can use them as like little tokens, or just have art to support your game. There's all different packs, there's other different themes, so there's adventurers and different humanoids. I believe there's like ones that's like celestials, there's angels and demons. And we do have a few map packs as well. I'm working on getting us some more on there. But this is a really great resource if you are just starting out as a creator and you don't necessarily have like a budget to go out and commission art. This is a really great way to get started because there's tons of art packs. If I'm scrolling through, these are all art packs that each have like at least 20 files per thing. So go download those, look through them. I've actually, with a few of our more recent art packs that we've added, I've noticed some creators on Twitter just saying they downloaded the art packs and an art piece of art was so cool, they're writing an adventure just so they just use to use that on the cover. So it can be a great source of inspiration as well. Other things that are in this section that are really helpful for beginning creators are like this adventure template. I'd say that if you are someone who is a dungeon master who aspires to be a content creator, there's a really big difference between creating something for your homebrew group and having, say, like a page of notes that you use, or knowing the style of play that a group is going to go for. Like, oh, they're definitely going to talk to these NPCs, or they're definitely going to murder hobo their way through this village. Versus writing something you're going to publish and send out there for any dungeon master to use with their group, and there might be multiple approaches to the scenario. Looking at templates, maybe downloading some existing adventures and seeing how they handle that, a really huge step for that sort of which side of the line you're on.
So if I have some original content that I want to share, and I want like, okay, I got my world, now the players playing it, it's super fun, and now I want to play it like a mod and share on DM's Guild. So you can say those templates really good starting place to kind of figure out how to set it all and lay it out.
Yeah, like you said, setting it up, just organizing your thoughts and figuring how a page of notes becomes an adventure, what the headers should be, and what the different sections of information you actually need to have versus maybe making it up on the fly as you're playing. Looking at a template or looking at an existing adventure is really great. Let's see. Some other stuff you might not, let's clear these. You might not be familiar with, even if you've gone to the Dungeon Masters Guild. I would definitely click through and look at all of the different filters My favorite thing are these themed filters, which we just added in the last few months of 2018. And these are really cool because even though our search functions are maybe not as awesome as I would want them to be, you can use these to great effect. So say that you're not even a creator, you're just a player, and you want to create a character for a Ravenloft campaign. Go to horror, and then go to product type and click character options. And it'll filter there and just show you things under those particular things that you're looking for. So when you're a creator on Dungeon Masters Guild, you can also use those filters to great effect.
Are those self-identified by the creators when you post them? Do you check a horror box?
Why, yes, they are. If you go to the account section, and you go to this My Content section, those are most of the tools that you're going to be using, and you enter a new community created title. All of these filters are here for you to choose from. And I highly recommend not spamming filters just because you think, the more filters I click, the more people are going to see my content. I think if you choose themes or other filters that are very specific to your content, it makes all the different categories actually more useful for customers, and they're more likely to use that and then actually more likely to find something to be. As far as a tour, those are probably the main things that demonstrate.
What's your name I can think of? So you have the DM's Guild, you have the basic site, which has all the carousels that Lisa pointed out, and then you have all the account. And over here you have My Library, which is everything that she has taught. So it's all there for you. So if you happen to read it like I've totally done, you can go back there and re-download it. They don't charge you a second time, which is really nice. And then you can do the Amazon wish list on the DM's Guild, which you want. Yeah, Chili's fine what they're doing over here. But the account, which is where you were actually going to manage all your titles, is the first one. What is that? Is that things I've uploaded?
So my library would be things that you purchase. This is actually, my content is basically everything for created titles. So there was enter a new community created title, which we looked at if you're making something new. Edit title, if you've already created things, this particular account does not have titles already on it. And you can also upload and update files.
Can I upload a file after I've already posted? So if I make changes, I fix all my titles.
Yes. You're able to go into upload, update files, select the title that you want to edit, rename files, upload new ones, and then there's a little field where you can say what changes you made, which is really helpful for users, because in their library, if new files pop up, it tells them what the new files, what the changes are, so they can decide for themselves if they want to re-download, reprint, that sort of thing.
So as a content creator, what is the full range of content I can have on DMs? So if I make an audio tag of people at a bar interviewing each other, could I put that on DMs Guild, or would that be a different place?
I'd say I do know that other sites like Drive Through RPG have more options for that. Dungeon Master Guild is primarily supplements. So different rules that you create, different monsters or NPCs, and what probably the content that people create the most would be short-term or one-shot adventures or adventures in a series.
Which I've played a couple of, been very good. There's a lot of, just the range of adventures that you can get something to, get something, more lighthearted, just all the kinds of creators on the site. It's welcoming to any kind of content you want to make, or anything logical or adventure. I get tokens for my characters.
We do have some illustrators who publish things, some of which they open up to Dungeon Masters Guild creators using, aside from artificial map packs or art packs. People will create tokens, or they'll create art of potion bottles, those sorts of things as campaigns. I will say, like you mentioned, that you've played some adventures and that they were really great, and there's a wide variety of adventures, and I'm really proud of Dungeon Masters Guild as a platform for having that variety, but also that quality, which is really demonstrated if you look at the front carousel and look at like the most popular titles, even just seeing the characters put into their covers, you'll notice that, let's see, Billions and Theirs, and also House's Board, those are both examples of collaborative supplements that the Dungeon Masters Guild community has created. It is a platform, but Dungeon Masters Guild is also very much a community. They're very strong on Facebook. If you look up Dungeon Masters Guild Creators Circle or Dungeon Masters Guild Fan Club, I also have now officially just Dungeon Masters Guild. The creators really like to band together, support each other. They love when someone new joins the community and they can pass on all the things that they learned, answer questions, and they really like working on these collaborative projects. I've done collaborative projects for Build a Dungeon before, and it's nice because you create this whole huge, amazing bundle, but maybe you're writing like 1,000 words for a particular encounter, and you could really just focus on that. And then it goes into this bundle with people who have all different approaches. So as a customer, that's really cool to purchase, and then as a creator, you're getting to work with awesome other creators who inspire you, but not necessarily have to sit down and write like a 10,000 word adventure.
So you don't have to be a master of all the things, write your own complete adventure. You can find someone who is like really good at writing encounters, who can write like your favorite character dialogue. It could be a different role. You don't have to be everything to be able to work with people working on others.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing the collaborative projects that show up on DM's Guild are probably my favorite thing.
Does it offer, as an artist, does it offer the ability to connect artists with writers as well?
Yeah, honestly, writers are constantly looking for artists or cartographers. They love collaborating with them, and I know that you're working on one of these collaborative projects, which I think is okay to talk about because it's been on Twitter and everything. There's one author, Ashley Warren, who's putting together. Oh yeah, I'm giving credit for that. There's one amazing creator, Ashley Warren, who's putting together a series of adventure books called Uncaged, which are all about female archetypes in mythology and kind of turning those on their head and reimagining them. So, say like Medusa, not just an evil monster, she actually has a story. And so he was creating a lot of the art for that.
And yeah, that's really interesting to bring up because I do feel like there is a need for artists in the community because when you did Uncaged, there were a lot more written content and so much fewer artists to do it. So if you do art and you're hesitant about how to get out there, you just need to put yourself out there and find writers, and there's a need for it, for sure.
And on the flip side, if you're a writer, art will make your product stand out so much more on the Guild because there are a lot of creators, and getting a really solid cover, whether commissioned or finding some public domain image to use that, makes your cover stand out. Really will make a difference in sales and impact as you move forward.
Mike Morales recently tweeted that that's like the #1 factor actually in your RPG work. It's not even necessarily your writing, although your product should be solid, but the art that you create can really make a difference in people finding your work.
Yeah, it gives it an original voice, I feel like, visually.
Yeah, it's all about setting up the mood and the tone, and it helps people know what to expect.
Someone had a question already. We'll go ahead and do a question now. Hey, I remember you from yesterday.
For the collaboration, is there a way built in that to split the royalties from that, or is something that you guys are still working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a royalty split feature on there. For those collaborative projects I mentioned, a lot of writers use that, but they do also use that as one option for paying photographers, for artists. They'll give them a royalty split for a certain amount of time until they've maybe paid up to like a fee, or maybe they decided to go 50-50 on art and writing, just forever. But yeah, there are definitely tools to do that.
See my screen?
No.
I can show you that real quick.
Press and swipe.
I figured this out moments ago.
All right, because this will correctly answer the question as I can show you. All right, well, the short answer is that you can definitely open up the royalties. All right, so you guys see what I've been working on here on this one. Jungle Tracks I did co-wrote with Teo Sanabia, and so I got half of it. Now, my Wizards and one bookshelf came half of what you made. So you get half, they get half because they run the platform. So I get half of the half, which is 25%. And then Royal B was co-written with some other people, so I got a weird percentage. Usually 60%. Moonshaker's Lyle was just ridiculously low because I was working with like 5 other people on that one, and the Treasure Hunter was just doing editing, and my share was 5%. So a lot of times if you negotiate with your writer, you can actually come and do the editing for them and ask for a little bit of royalties through this, and they can pay that way. So I just wanted to show you how that one worked.
It's not about royalty splits, but you're mentioning the Adventurers League. Reminded me of this. If you were interested in writing for the Adventurers League and getting that sweet 60% split, or potentially even one day writing for Wizards of the Coast, Dungeon Masters Guild is a really good way to try to get Wizards of the Coast's attention. I know that some of the writers for the Adventurers League this season were pulled from Dungeon Masters Guild. I know that Wizards of the Coast is constantly looking at the most popular writers on there. So that's kind of another part of it. It's not just necessarily for making a profit, but also that exposure and getting Wizards of the Coast's attention.
All right, well, I think we'll be looking at another product we is Jungle Tracks. I wanted to bring that one up real quick because of the art. I decided to go commission some art. And I went to Julie Walker, who was one of my line artists for the webcomic that I did Kickstarters for. And we went with this style it ties into Tomb of Annihilation. It's a series of short adventures that Teos and I wrote. And for the style, we decided to really harken back to the old 2E style for D&D. And asked Julie to do work that kind of had that vibrant color with a little bit of danger and a little bit of camp to it. And that is what Julian came up with, which is, this is a pre-adventure scene, so this is what happens that sets up what the players run into in the adventure. And you have to be careful you don't give your adventure away on the cover, because people will see the cover. Also, I like color a lot, because whenever you go to these searches, as you'll see, you're going to have a lot of little tiny thumbnails, and you want to do something that attracts the eye. And I was wondering if perhaps our artists among us might give us more opinions on what you would do for a cover.
For a cover, I know in general to stand out, it's important to kind of establish a personality for your art too. I feel like, and that's probably what you were going for, the bright colors and things that are going to pop. Having an individual voice, because if you're looking through and you see a lot of the same thing, where it's like a parchment and a little guy, that's not going to jump out. For that look, it's bright, it communicates what's going on very well. It's really cute. It's really cute. Yeah, it's just important to make sure that everything you're doing communicates quickly and easily, especially in size is something to consider if you're going, everything's going to be displayed in that carousel, something that can communicate in a smaller size. All kind of things to consider to help that.
We're doing that one for our next cover. Let's see if it pops up. We haven't released this yet, so you can preview. Can you see it still?
Yes.
Put it all the way. So here's our Tavern Toolkit, which we're going to have to rename because Will Boyle is almost the exact same name. This is what we got going on.
You went
away. What happened?
Wiggle the cord.
Oh, I wiggled the cord?
Oh.
Back to solve
Oh no.
No one move. Okay, so that was what we were looking at. We're looking like with, again, bright colors to draw the eye. We really like the Troll's Hole Cavern. And I like my covers to tell a story. So that when you glance at it, you see people are doing something as opposed to a static pose looking off into the distance. And for this one, as you can see, the adventuring party was super happy. They just got their tavern, they're all excited. And I put in a little Easter egg on the sign that it's hard to read unless you are in up there looking at it, but it's not important to selling the stuff. But if you look closely, I put in little jokes. I was working with Julian on designing this one, which you only get if you actually play the adventure. So that is one of some of the tricks I use, is to tell stories with my art to, well, not my art, Julian's art, but I work closely with the artist to try to incorporate that in with the cover. Do either of you use material always?
Yeah, before we get to materials, I was just going to say, if I'm just starting out with just the very beginnings of my idea, and I think the cover's kind of the late game, like once you actually put everything together, you want to find a cover that tells the story of the adventure. So if I'm just now, just trying to figure out how to write my adventure, where do you usually start? What's the first few things you start writing, and then how do you set it up after you have something you're proud of that you want to do?
Yeah, no, I guess for myself personally, I like to create outlines, and I tend to procrastinate from writing and just create more and more elaborate outlines until I've tricked myself into writing an adventure. I'll typically try to outline and figure out like what the plot hooks are, what the transitions and the stories would be. I'm really into character design, so I'll try to create like quirky NPCs throughout who might be important to help me to move the story forward. And then that outline kind of translates to me as headers, so I'm like kind of already thinking about how I'm setting up the adventure, what sidebars I'm going to need, and then I like just fill in little sections, which also makes it less intimidating if I'm like, I just have to fill out this one section or this one sidebar. That's easier than being like, oh, well now I have to write a whole adventure. So that's where I start.
Okay, so yeah, once you have your idea and then do your outline, write it all, every detail of the encounters and characters and story you want to tell, and then that will lead to your layouts and I guess like, well, how do you make it look like a video?
Well, I use Adobe InDesign. And the reason why I use that one is because it's a good program, and it's great for layout. If you try to do anything more complicated than a memo in Microsoft Word, it can so bad. And the pictures will not stay where you want them to be. Your watermarks will move all over the place. Formatting is bizarre. I use InDesign, and you can get it online and do it as a per month fee for Adobe. So if you're worried about the price of it, Adobe is pricey. Try to do all your writing in Word, and then rent Adobe InDesign for a month, do all your layout in 1 month, and then let it lapse. The downside of this is that you will, in order to make any changes, you'll have to resubscribe and get it again. So you might run into that, so you have to go back and be like, oh, I made some typos, I want to move this around, you'll have to resubscribe, and if you make another project, wait until you get the next month to do that, and do both the editing and then the layout for the next project the same month. And that's how you kind of stick to it, and you're doing like 3 or 4 months a year of InDesign rental. I know Steph loves Photoshop. I assume you're a Photoshop junkie as well.
I use Photoshop. InDesign is definitely a must though for if you're going to self-publish. I agree, like text and images. I use Photoshop because primarily when I'm doing content and it's creature design or character design, I'm just kind of putting them with a stat thing next to me. So a lot of text isn't a huge issue. Both those are Adobe plugins, so you kind of get them sweet and be set. I highly recommend it.
You can get it for free for a week. There you go. Bring it all to the shop.
Do it all in 1 week and then never write again.
Yes.
Or have lots of siblings whose names you can use.
There you go.
Alrighty. Can you tell us about what these gold bestseller things do over here? Yeah, so
once you start selling on Dungeon Masters Guild, you have the possibility of earning yourselves these really cool medal badges. And I'd say of all of our sister sites, with One Bookshelf, Dungeon Masters Guild writers are really, really proud of their medals. They like put them on covers and keep them and everything. So if you sell 51 copies of your PDF, you would earn a cover medal. It's 101 for silver, and kind of so on, tiering up until it used to be platinum, and we've since added mithril and adamantine. Super exciting.
Can I just see what they are if you click on it? Like, what are these adamantine or adamantine?
That's like 10,000 to 1 or something really.
It's enormous.
Yeah. So those are some of our best-selling. I think Matt Mercer's.
Yeah, see
things
that
are
one
on
down
there.
there?
Yeah.
That's Mercer.
It's definitely a goal to shoot for.
MT Black, who is a very prolific writer.
Yes.
He sold all of his adventures individually. They all went platinum. Then he bundled them together and then sold them again.
Adamantine, amazing.
But MT Black is like the pinnacle of the guild. He's a very good writer and he's prolific. And whenever you make a lot, actually I found that is how the better way to make money or to make lots of items, because they start cross-selling to each other. So people like, I read this adventure by MT Black, it was really good, so I'm going to buy another one by him and another one. And as you keep getting more, you put more stuff up there, people like what you did, it sells your other stuff, so people will sell your old stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't always have to be like writing lots of adventures. For example, there's another pretty prolific creator called, I don't think he has, his pet name is Drop the Die. He's also on Twitter. And he creates lots of handouts. His thing is if someone has something that the normal character sheets don't handle, like say, I think he has a bag of holding sheet that like automatically calculates the weight of everything and figures out how much. Well, he creates a lot of those, or creates like spells. So if you're, I feel like the feedback I get from a lot of people who say they want to publish on Dungeon Masters Guild, and I ask if I haven't yet, they're just scared. It's scary to take that first step and just publish something and put it out there for the world to see. Starting small and creating maybe like a worksheet or a little pamphlet of spells is a really good way to just get rid of that first time jitters sort of thing.
Actually, page product is going to be good. Yeah. Do we have any last comments, or should we move to questions?
I think we should move to questions. We got some.
Oh, I saw a question.
Hey again.
Hi again.
For the content, does D&D or Wizards of the Coast have a resource pack? Is it like the fonts that they typically use, so you can kind of keep that theme of having it look and possibly eventually be official work?
Yeah, so a lot of the creators on Dungeon Masters Guild sort of aspire to make their products look like Wizards of the Coast products, but a lot of, like, say, the fonts and the particular images or swatches that they use are proprietary. So they don't share those, although they do share a style guide, which, if you look up style guide, maybe that'll show up. I know that there is an updated version to this style guide, because this particular one has stuff like, you can't use they, them, and I know the newest one that Wizards of the Coast specifically calls out gender neutrality, which is great.
This is based on the 14th edition Chicago manual.
And that is not,
And we're on the
it's not,
17th now.
Free.
It is absolutely free. So it includes style rules that Wizards of the Coast uses, which especially if you're collaborating with people, especially if your aspirations are for Wizards of the Coast to introduce your writing, using their style, super important. If you want to write professionally, super duper important. So I download that.
And their style is based off the Chicago manual style.
Yes.
If you do not have one, then I would recommend Amazon getting it. They also are online and have a pretty good FAQ.
This particular style guide resources packet also includes tips from Chris Perkins on adventure design, how they handle intellectual property in the Forgotten Realms, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty good product to get.
Yeah, it's a must if you're going to go with Forgotten Realms, because we have like the style guide, like, we don't use the word week, we use the 10-day, the ride, because and also they don't use money, they always use coin. And it's little things like that whenever you're going through. Any other questions? He's way in the back.
Yeah, hi, I'm not a dungeon master for 5 incredibly talented artists and storytellers, and I'm going to put on actually to get out and tell the story that they built together. Is there, while we've been talking today about the place, about the size of the things that you can provide the resources for others, is there any sort of niche or maybe a place that they can go to tell a completed story, maybe using some of these resources? Or should I maybe encourage them to take the story that they told and try to mold it into a more classic adventure where other people can drop in and out?
I guess that's two approaches. So you're asking, so not necessarily an adventure, but a story, like a novella. We do have a sister site called Drive Through Fiction, which might be good for them to check out.
That's one way. Do the Drive Through Fiction. Another way is you can do the Bill Doyle method, which is he took Tomb of Annihilation, and his playtest group was the Company of the Yellow Banner. And you find hints about that in the Tomb of Annihilation. So he rewrote the story that they went through as an adventure, and they just went through it before you got there and died horribly. So that is how he handled it. So, or you can do, and Greenwood does this constantly, like with his home groups, like Knights of Myth Drenor, went to Myth Drenor multiple times, and you find evidence of that whenever you run through the adventure. So they had the previous story, and you get the secondary story. So the sequel to what your characters already went, and so your characters can be the backstory that is setting up the current adventure. But they kind of discourage out-and-out fiction on the DM's Guild because it's designed for D&D play, not as a place. And as Lisa points out, we have Drive Through Fiction. They'll handle that one for you.
Okay,
Does that help?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Well, by the way, this has been around as long as D&D has. If you remember the Battle of Emerald Meadows in the Temple of Elemental Evil in Greyhawk, that was Gary Gygax's earlier campaign before they refitted it as the Village of Homeland and the Temple of Elemental Evil.
So give us a lot of ways to incorporate their story into an adventure you write or any supplemental material. If they want to tell their story as a work of fiction, as a comedy or novella, or anything, yeah, there's Drive Through Fiction, and also just social media, just trying to get the word out, post it on the website, make a webcomic, make any kind of art or storytelling they want to do, and it'll find an audience. I think there's a lot of great stories are inspired by me. That's just, I think it's more commonplace nowadays.
Coming from the webcomic world, I swear half of all webcomics are based on She-Ra, I think, is based on Anyway, any other questions for us? Yes, sir. I'll take first stab if you guys go from there. Alright, so the first stab is, in the player's handbook, there's all those backgrounds that you can pick from. Give your NPC a background and start using those personalities, bonds, traits, and flaws that are there. And then you need a quick shortcut to create a fairly substantive NPC on the fly. Better yet, make up new flaws, bonds, traits, and personalities. Like, I don't like this, but I can have a little bit there. And if you just go with those 4 elements, you can create a NPC very quick, especially if you're willing just to throw the dice and see what shows up and goes, oh, that makes sense, what is this, and then run with it. I know a lot of other recommendations people have is to have a booklet of NPCs, generic NPCs ready to go. I know a lot of people use like names. They have book names that they just go through, and as they use them, they just cross them off and work their way through it, because otherwise you run into, man, it's the farmer George and his wife Fran and the wandering tinkerer Eleanor, and you'll get very common names. But if you have a whole list of names that come from the beginning, and maybe even rewrite a few of those personality traits, it goes a long way. My recommendation with NPCs, though, unless they're major, is to keep it short and simple, so that it's something obvious that players can plumb onto. See other DMs that give them a physical tick of some sort. Like they always brush their hair like this, or they twiddle their thumbs, or something that NPC does. If you have that mercer level quality, you can always do do a funny voice whenever they're talking to them. Yes, welcome to the Gem Traders. We're glad you came. Yes.
Yeah. Well, part of Bramblefoot Adventures that Neil and I did was we would create NPCs once a month, and I feel like we would just sit there and be like, I don't know, what if it's based on a pigeon? And we made one character who's a sun elf wizard named Snoop, and the whole thing is they're just a messenger. So they're basically just a messenger pigeon, and that's what they do. Is they deliver messages. If you want to just develop from there, like we just were like, okay, well that's what they do. They're good at their job, or they try hard. Just like a pigeon, like, and we just went from there and kind of developed this cool character. And then when I'm DMing on the fly, I usually kind of take that idea. When I did a Star Trek one on Encounter recently, we just like pulled one out of my butt. It was like, we just made him super annoying, and that was his only thing, because he was just the worst and everyone hated him. But everyone watching loved him, and that was the only thing about him was he sucked. So it was terrible. Yeah. And it was a consistent NPC, and he just had a one-note thing about it.
I agree. Honestly, when I'm creating NPCs, they don't usually have loads of depth. They'll either have a physical tick, like you mentioned, or some sort of personality quirk. Like maybe they're like super jaded and just the worst and so freaking rude, or they're like incredibly naive, or maybe they have like one bulgy eye and it's like always doing its own thing and like looking around and people will latch onto that. It'll make them remember the NPC, and then maybe it becomes an NPC that they really love and keep asking to come back, and then you develop that.
Yeah.
But exactly. It's shared storytelling. Let them do some of the work.
Definitely, I've been running adventures that have written on D&D and other places. If I'm reading text about an NPC that is definitely a side character, not the main character, I just want the bare bones. I don't need a whole lot to actually add my own spin to it, or basically they just need the fun. You just need to find the important thing about that character and work on that part of it, and then any other extra details will just help the DM at that table. Or if you get any more details you add like that, physical quirks, little traits like that, just make your players like it more, and that's always a good thing. So
You can always turn to your good friend, the DM's Guild. I hear this is a mythical bestseller, so you obviously are in good company of like someone who wants to have these things. This is currently on sale, normally $4, on sale for 99 cents. How many NPCs does he give you? Does he say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, what is it? 10 there? So these are NPCs that are effectively 9 cents a piece that he's already made for you. These sales that they run on the Adventure Masters Guild are pretty good. I warn you that if you put something on the DM's Guild, you don't have a choice. They pick what is on sale, and you have to say thank you. Which actually works out in your favor because your sales go through the roof.
Sales up to 40% if your product has been on the guild for at least 30 days.
Yep, and Jungle Trek's been on sale several times, and it's always worked to our benefit, but I don't always know when they're even going on sale. I sometimes find out about it, and then I go tweet about it, as we discussed earlier, like, guys, get your own sale. But you can find almost anything on this site. It's amazing, because there are so many people creating. Any further questions? Yes, sir.
What is really DM's first time today? And I wonder if it has any other content besides definition in terms of older editions.
Not community created content. If you are a community creator, it's just 5th edition. However, Wizards of the Coast does let us scan and share a lot of older content. So if you go to, it's this laptop. I don't know what I did. I messed it up. And you scroll down, yeah. There's D&D Classics, so they have a bunch of older edition material. Some of it is on print on demand, so if there's something that you remember from earlier days playing and you want a print version, there's some things that you can get. I am a big lover of Ravenloft things, and they have some really awesome older guides and even some adventures and some of Van Richten's guides that are print on demand. So I talked a bunch of my guild credit on those. But yes, they do have some other things.
follow-up, they like put stuff in the editions.
You cannot put them up there in older edition pools. However, there are a subset of creators create guides for converting older content to 5th edition. And if something is set in the Forgotten Realms, Eberron, Ravenloft, you can create something as long, or update something, or take maybe a character or a hero or villain from older content, as long as your content is in 5th edition. Makes sense.
Can you go back? Can you write for, I want to write something for AD&D or 3rd edition.
Unfortunately, you cannot. Community created content is only 5th edition.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned things like having striking covers, using the suggested style guide. Are there any other factors that you see the top creators on DMs go consistently employ to improve the quality of their products?
Yes. We'll see if we can pull them up real quick.
Yeah, that's
You'll notice them because I've watched. First of all, keep it simple. Your cover should have a singular focus to it. Look at the tone of the pack. It has one big guy on it, and it has the name across the top. It has the author on the bottom, and then it has that GM's Guild logo that you're required to put on there on the bottom left. That's all you need. You could put a brief description on it. Look at adaptable NPCs. There's a lot of stuff down there at the bottom. I can't read it. It's so small that even whenever I zoom in, I can't read it. It's too small. It might as well not even be on there. But that's okay, because if you want to add in all that stuff, just go down. You get to add in all of this description. And if someone is interested in it, they can go through and see what you've done. So this is all the stuff you can upload down here. And I think that is better for where you should put your details of what you have than on the cover itself. So my suggestion on cover is keep it simple, keep it clean, and give the important information, which is, in this case, know the fact they went with a specific cover that has a big, deep-looking dude, because it's a warlock based on a supplement with the title and the name. And that's enough to draw people in and get them interested. That would be my recommendation. If you put too much, it's going to overwhelm them. Their eyes are going to know where to go, and it's going to glaze over. The Milady Codex, too green. It's all too uniform in color, in my opinion. It all blends together. But it does have the name right in front, right there, so you can read that. Introduction to Fantastical Disease and Epidemics, I can see that. And then you put the title in the white or purple, so you can read that.
Recently got a boost on Comic.com, which also probably boosted that popular list. And that one's cool because it's written by medical students, and so they wrote a whole thing about really terrifying diseases. Another one that's up there right now is College of Opera, co-written, and one of the co-writers is a professional opera singer. So I've noticed, like, if you write what you know, people gravitate towards that, and also in terms of getting people to notice and like pick up press to help boost, that seems to have been helping recently as well.
Yeah, doing something unusual, like diseases written by medical students, the college opera written by a college opera singer.
Yeah.
And also,
And that's her on the cover.
and that's the cover. Look, if you look at the cover, it has someone who's obviously singing opera on it with the words College Opera, and that's an effective cover. We got time probably for one more question. I think I saw a hand. Remember with her one. I'll catch you later if I can because I know where you live.
So when you get paid on that, is it per commission or is it?
It goes into your account and you have to.
Okay. Yeah. So like we mentioned earlier, you get 50% of the royalties. It goes into your account credit. We hold on to credit for, I believe, 60 days to make sure like payment's clear and everything. And then once you get that, there's the little section called, I believe it's just called Get Paid. And then you can enter in like a PayPal address that takes your credit and puts it there for you.
You have to have a PayPal. And they will not send all of it. For example, you can see parts of it that they're holding for 60 days, and then some of it's waiting, so I need to get me some money.
You can use your credit to purchase things on Dungeon Masters Guild, and I think it'll use funds from the oldest funds first.
I don't do that ever because I need to keep my balance clean for tax purposes. So anything that comes out, because you still earn it, even if you spend it as credit, you earn it, you have to get taxed on it.
That's what I'm worried about.
So I never pay out of my royalties, I pay off my credit card, and then I take the other thing over to PayPal, and I make sure that is my report as my taxes. So I don't have an official step going through making sure that I have to track everything. I think they look at. Oh, we'll speak in one more. They haven't told us to leave yet.
As far as like state specific, I picked, so like I tried long after yes, take the Chris Best to the arcade brothers. They're good, right?
Do you want to know a secret? Because I'm also on the scribes who are on the board for Forgotten Realms. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. As soon as you put it in your campaign, it's your realms. And whatever you say, in your realms, the arcade brotherhood is good. So don't worry about getting it wrong. In your realms, Elminster.
That reminded me of something else that
Why the spot but it seems somebody needs to look at that receptacle and or breaker.
and making sure that you turn your text into outlines. Working at a print shop, that's one thing that I never realized until I worked at a print shop. And you're like, hi, open this file, and I had none of these fonts. I have none of these fonts. Oh God.
The motor has not been delivered yet.